This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Max and Mia podcast. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Rachel. And if you're new here, welcome. You picked a great episode to start with.
For those who don't know, Rachel and I have this space every Wednesday to talk about things that actually matter. You'll still hear Max and Mia every Friday, Sunday, and Monday as usual, but today we're doing something a little different.
We are. Actually, this is a topic so many of you have been asking about in the comments.
So many, and I get it, because it's something pretty much everyone struggles with at some point.
Same here. So let me ask you something before we even start. Have you ever tried to stop a habit? Like, really tried?
100 times, and failed 100 times.
Exactly. And if that sounds familiar, stick around, because today that changes.
It really does, because in this episode, you'll learn 3 simple steps to break a bad habit. Steps that actually work, not just theory.
And of course, since this is Max and Mia, you're also going to pick up some new English along the way, naturally, as we go.
So whether you're here to fix a habit or just to practice your English, you're in the right place.
And honestly, this is exactly why we started doing these Wednesday episodes. Real topics, real English, no complicated grammar lessons, just a natural conversation you can actually follow.
Right. We want you to learn without even noticing you're studying. That's the goal.
And speaking of today's topic, something someone told me recently really stuck with me. They said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily."
Wow, that's so true, though.
Right? It sounds simple, but it's really the whole idea behind today's episode. Small daily things shape everything else.
So let's not waste any more time. Are you ready?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we jump into the steps, let's talk about something important. Why are bad habits so hard to break in the first place?
Right, because it's not like people don't know their habits are bad for them. Most of us know exactly what we should stop doing.
Exactly. So it's not really about knowledge, it's about how our brain works.
Okay, let's start with the first reason. Most of our habits are automatic. That means we do them without even thinking about it.
Yeah, like when you grab your phone the second you sit down, or when you reach for something sweet after dinner. You don't decide to do it, it just happens.
And that's actually by design. Our brain loves saving energy. So once a behavior becomes automatic, it stops using conscious effort. It's basically running on autopilot.
Wait, quick pause here. Autopilot is a word we use a lot in English. It's when a plane flies itself without a pilot controlling it manually. But we also use it to describe something we do without thinking about it, like a habit.
Good one. Okay, so that's the first piece. Habits are automatic. The second piece is dopamine.
Ah, the famous dopamine.
Dopamine is a chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. It's released when you do something enjoyable, like eating something tasty, scrolling social media, or even just anticipating a reward.
And here's the tricky part. Dopamine isn't only about pleasure, it's also about anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine even before you get the reward, just from expecting it.
So that's why you feel that little pull to check your phone even before you actually open it.
Exactly. Your brain already started the reward process in your head.
Okay, third reason, comfort. Bad habits usually give us comfort in some way, even if that comfort is short.
Right. Think about stress eating. It doesn't actually solve the stress, but in that moment, it feels comforting. It's a quick escape.
And our brain doesn't really care if something is good for us long term. It cares about what feels good right now.
That's such an important point. We're wired for instant relief, not long-term results.
Wired is another good word here. When we say someone is wired a certain way, we mean it's built into them, almost like it's part of their natural design.
Good catch. Okay, let me give you a quick example of comfort in action. Think about someone who bites their nails when they're nervous.
Oh, I actually used to do that.
See, and it doesn't fix the nervousness, but in that exact moment, it gives your hands something to do, and your brain reads that as relief.
Right, it's a small distraction that feels better than sitting with the discomfort.
Exactly. And that's the trap. The habit isn't solving anything. It's just covering the feeling for a few seconds.
And that brings us to the fourth and probably biggest reason. The brain loves routines.
It really does. Once your brain finds a pattern that works, it wants to repeat it over and over. Routines feel safe. They feel predictable.
And change feels uncomfortable, even risky, because your brain doesn't know what will happen with something new.
So basically, your brain is protecting you, but in a way that keeps you stuck.
Quick pause again. Stuck means you can't move forward. You're trapped in the same place doing the same thing.
Good word to know, because we're going to use it a few times today.
So when you put all of this together, automatic behavior, dopamine, comfort, and the brain's love for routine, you start to understand why bad habits feel so hard to fight.
And here's the good news. Once you understand why you do something, it becomes so much easier to figure out how to change it.
That's really the whole idea behind today's episode. When people understand the reason behind a habit, they pay more attention to how they can actually change it.
It's not about willpower alone. It's about working with your brain, not against it.
Exactly. And that's where our first step comes in.
Yeah, because before you can change anything, you need to know what's actually causing the habit in the first place.
So let's get into step 1.
Okay, step 1. And this one is the foundation for everything else, so pay close attention here.
Every bad habit has a trigger. A trigger is something that sets off the behavior automatically. It could be stress, boredom, a certain time of day, a specific person, or even a place.
Before you can stop a habit, you need to find its trigger. So ask yourself, what happens right before I do this?
That question alone can change everything because most people never actually stop to ask it.
Right, and this is where awareness comes in. Awareness just means noticing what's happening, paying attention instead of acting on autopilot.
So the goal isn't to fight the habit yet. The goal is just to notice the moment right before it happens.
Exactly. And I want to give you a real example because I actually went through this myself.
Oh, this should be good.
So for a long time, I had a huge phone habit. Like I'd pick it up 30, 40 times a day without even thinking about it.
I remember that. You check it even in the middle of a conversation.
I know, it's embarrassing. But when I started paying attention, I noticed something interesting. I wasn't just picking it up randomly. There was always something right before it.
So what was your trigger?
Silence. Anytime there was a quiet moment, waiting in line, a break at work, even a pause in a conversation, my hand would just go straight to my phone.
So silence made you uncomfortable.
Exactly. I didn't even realize it until I actually paid attention. The trigger wasn't boredom exactly. It was more like I didn't know how to just sit with a quiet moment.
Deeper how?
Well, once I paid more attention, I realized it wasn't just any silence. It was specifically silence where I didn't have anything to do with my hands. If I was cooking, that was fine. But sitting on the couch with nothing in my hands, that's when the phone came out instantly.
That's such a specific pattern, though. I don't think most people would notice something that detailed without really paying attention.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of this step. It's not enough to just say, I use my phone too much. You have to get specific. What exact moment? What's happening around you? What are you feeling?
The more specific you get, the easier it is to actually do something about it later.
Right, because I use my phone too much is too vague to fix. But I reach for my phone when my hands are empty and it's quiet is something you can actually work with.
That's a great distinction.
It was actually a little confronting to realize that. I didn't love figuring it out.
Confronting is a good word here. It means something that forces you to face an uncomfortable truth about yourself.
Exactly that. It wasn't a fun realization, but it was necessary.
That's such a common one, though. I think a lot of people do that without noticing.
Probably. But once I identified that trigger, everything changed. I couldn't fix the habit yet, but I finally understood where it was coming from.
And that's the whole point of step 1. You're not solving it yet, you're just uncovering it.
Right, so your turn. Tell everyone about yours.
Okay, mine is a classic one. Procrastination.
Oh, everyone's going to relate to this one.
For those who don't know the word, procrastination means putting things off, delaying something you actually need to do, usually until the last minute.
We've all been there.
Constantly. So for me, I'd have a task, something simple even, and I'd just avoid it for hours. I'd clean my kitchen, answer random messages, anything except the actual task.
So, what did you find when you looked for your trigger?
It was actually connected to how big the task felt in my head. Anytime a task felt overwhelming, even if it really wasn't that complicated, my brain would look for an escape.
So, the trigger wasn't the task itself.
No, it was the feeling right before starting, that little wave of pressure. The second I felt that, I'd distract myself with something easier.
Was there a moment when you actually caught yourself doing it?
Yeah, actually. I was supposed to send an email, a pretty simple one, and I noticed myself opening my phone instead, and I just stopped and thought, wait, why am I doing this right now?
And that pause is huge. That's the whole skill we're talking about.
It really is. Once I saw it clearly, I couldn't unsee it anymore.
That's actually really interesting because it shows the trigger isn't always an external thing like a place or a person. Sometimes it's an internal feeling.
Exactly. And once I noticed that pattern, I started catching myself in that exact moment, right when the pressure showed up, instead of an hour later when I'd already wasted half the afternoon.
And that's awareness in action.
Right. So here's what we want you to do. Think about one habit you want to change. It could be anything. Checking your phone too much, snacking late at night, putting off tasks, whatever it is for you.
And for the next few days, just observe. Don't try to change anything yet. Just notice what happens right before the habit starts.
Is it a certain time? A certain feeling? Being around a specific person? Write it down if you can.
Because once you know your trigger, you have something real to work with.
And that's exactly where step 2 comes in.
Because knowing your trigger is one thing, but what you do next matters just as much.
Okay, step 2. And this one is where most people actually go wrong.
Yeah, this is a big one. The most common mistake people make is trying to remove a habit without putting anything in its place.
Right. They just say, I'm going to stop doing this, and that's it. No plan for what comes after.
And here's the thing. Your brain doesn't like empty space. If you remove a habit without replacing it, you'll go right back to it.
So the real move isn't just removing something, it's replacing it with something small and positive.
Let's talk vocabulary for a second, because this connects perfectly. Have you ever felt a craving?
Oh, all the time. A craving is that strong urge or desire for something, usually something that gives you quick pleasure, like a certain food or checking your phone.
Exactly. And a craving doesn't just disappear because you decided to ignore it. It needs somewhere to go.
That's where the second word comes in, substitute. A substitute is something you use instead of the original thing. It fills the same space, just in a healthier way.
So, instead of removing a habit and leaving a hole, you replace it with a substitute.
And here's why this matters so much. If you just remove something, your brain still feels that craving. The urge doesn't go away just because you decided to be strong.
Right. Willpower alone rarely wins against a craving. It's just not built to last, especially in the first few days.
Exactly. So instead of fighting the craving directly, you give it something else to hold on to.
It's kind of like, imagine you tell a kid, don't think about candy, what's the first thing they think about?
Candy, obviously.
Right, because the brain doesn't really process don't, it just hears candy. So instead, you give it something else to focus on completely.
That's such a good way to explain it.
And listeners, this is actually really useful for you too, not just for us. Think about your own habit for a second, the one we asked you to observe earlier. What could you replace it with?
Right, because this only works if you actually apply it to something real in your own life. So let's go back to your example, Matthew. Remember your trigger was silence?
Yeah, any quiet moment, and my hand would go straight to my phone.
So what did you replace it with?
Honestly, something really simple. I started keeping a small notebook nearby, and whenever that quiet moment showed up, instead of grabbing my phone, I'd just write something down. A thought, an idea, sometimes nothing important at all.
That's such a small change, though.
That's exactly the point. It didn't need to be big. It just needed to give my hands something to do and give my brain something other than a screen.
And did it actually work?
It really did. Within a couple of weeks, reaching for the notebook became more natural than reaching for my phone in those moments.
That's such a good example because it shows the substitute doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be available and easy.
Exactly. Okay, your turn. What did you replace procrastination with?
So remember, my trigger was that wave of pressure right before starting a task. What I started doing was something really small too. The moment I felt that pressure, instead of picking up my phone, I'd give myself permission to work on the task for just 2 minutes.
Only 2 minutes?
Just 2. That's it. And most of the time, once I started, I kept going. But even if I stopped after 2 minutes, that still counted as a win.
Only 2 minutes? And that actually worked?
Surprisingly, yes. It sounds almost too simple. But the trick is that 2 minutes doesn't trigger that same feeling of pressure. Your brain doesn't see it as a big, scary task anymore.
That makes sense. It's like tricking your brain into starting.
Kind of, yeah.
And once you're already moving, it's so much easier to keep going than it was to start in the first place.
That's smart, because 2 minutes doesn't feel scary. It's such a small commitment.
Exactly. The pressure would still show up, but instead of avoiding it completely, I gave myself a substitute action that felt manageable.
And listeners, this is where I want you to think about your own habit again. What's a small, easy substitute you could use the next time your trigger shows up?
It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be something positive that you can do instead.
Maybe if your trigger is boredom, your substitute could be stretching for a minute or drinking a glass of water.
Or if your trigger is stress, maybe your substitute is stepping outside for some fresh air instead of reaching for a snack.
Or if your trigger is a certain person, maybe the substitute is having a specific response ready so you're not caught off guard in the moment.
Good one. Even something as simple as changing the topic or taking a breath before you react, that counts as a substitute too.
And here's something important. Your first substitute might not be the right one. That's completely normal.
Totally. I actually tried a few things before the 2-minute rule worked for me. At first, I tried just telling myself to relax, and that didn't really help at all.
Because relax isn't really an action. It's too vague, kind of like we talked about earlier.
Exactly. The substitute needs to be something specific and doable, not just a feeling you're hoping shows up.
So if your first substitute doesn't work, don't give up on the whole idea, just try a different one.
Right. This is a bit of trial and error, and that's okay. The goal is progress, not perfection.
Same space your brain is asking for, just with something that actually helps you.
And over time, that new action can become the new automatic response, replacing the old one completely.
So to sum up step 2, don't just remove the habit. Give your brain a substitute, something small, something positive, something ready to go the moment that craving shows up.
And now that you know your trigger and you have a substitute ready,
there's one more piece to this, and it might be the piece that makes everything else actually stick.
Yeah, because even with the best intentions, your environment can either help you or work against you.
Okay, step 3. And honestly, this might be the most powerful one out of all 3.
I actually agree, because this step isn't really about your mindset, it's about your environment, the space around you.
Let's start with the vocabulary word here, willpower. Your willpower is your ability to control yourself and resist temptation through mental strength alone.
Right, it's basically your inner discipline. And here's the problem. Most people believe that if they just have enough willpower, they'll succeed.
But willpower runs out. It's not an endless resource.
Exactly. Think about it. Early in the day, you can resist almost anything, but by the end of a long, tiring day, your willpower is basically empty.
And that's usually when the bad habit wins.
Right. So here's the idea behind this step. Don't rely only on willpower. Change your environment so the bad habit becomes difficult and the good habit becomes easy.
In other words, design your surroundings to work for you, not against you.
So instead of fighting yourself every single time, you remove the fight before it even starts.
Let's give a simple example first. If you want to stop using your phone so much, put it in another room.
It sounds so simple, but it actually works incredibly well.
Because if the phone isn't within reach, you have to get up, walk to another room, and physically go get it. That little bit of effort is often enough to stop the automatic behavior.
Right. You're not depending on willpower anymore. You're depending on distance and effort.
And it doesn't have to stop at phones either. Think about anything you're trying to change. If it's snacking, put the snack somewhere harder to reach, like a top shelf instead of right on the counter.
Or if it's watching too much TV, maybe you unplug it after each use, so turning it on takes a few extra seconds of effort.
Exactly. Those seconds matter more than people think.
They really do. It's not about making it impossible, just inconvenient enough that your brain pauses before acting.
And listeners, this connects directly to what we talked about earlier with triggers. If your trigger is silence and your phone isn't there, that whole chain never even starts.
Exactly. You break the pattern before it begins.
So let's talk about how we each applied this ourselves. Matthew, what did you actually change in your environment?
So, besides the notebook we mentioned earlier, I also started leaving my phone charging in the kitchen at night instead of next to my bed.
Oh, that's such a common trigger too. Phones right before sleep.
Huge one. And once it wasn't right next to me, I stopped scrolling in bed completely. Not because I suddenly had more willpower, but because getting up felt like too much effort at that point.
So the environment did the work for you.
Basically, yeah. I just made the bad habit slightly harder, and that was enough.
That's such a great example because it shows you don't need some huge, dramatic change. Just a small barrier can be enough.
Exactly. Okay, your turn. What did you change for procrastination?
So for me, it was about making the good habit easier, not just making the bad one harder.
How so?
Well, I noticed that whenever I had to start something, if my laptop wasn't open or my notes weren't ready, that extra little step gave procrastination more room to sneak in.
So you removed that extra step.
Exactly. I started prepping everything the night before. Laptop open, tabs ready, notes right there. So the next morning, there was basically nothing standing between me and starting the task.
That's smart because you removed the friction.
Friction is a great word here, actually. Friction means resistance, the extra effort it takes to do something. The more friction there is, the less likely you are to do it.
And the opposite is true too. The less friction there is for a good habit, the more likely you are to actually follow through.
It's kind of funny when you think about it. We spend so much energy trying to be stronger when really we could just make things a little easier or a little harder around us.
Right. Work smarter, not harder, as they say.
Exactly. So for bad habits, you want to add friction. For good habits, you want to remove it.
That's such a simple way to think about it. Add friction to the bad, remove friction from the good.
And listeners, this is where you come in again. Think about your own habit and your substitute from before. What's one small change you could make in your environment to support that?
Maybe it's putting snacks somewhere less visible and putting fruit somewhere right in front of you instead.
Or maybe it's deleting an app that keeps pulling your attention, or moving it off your home screen so it's not the first thing you see.
Or if you're trying to read more, maybe you leave the book right on your pillow so it's the last thing you see before bed instead of your phone.
All small changes, but they add up in a really powerful way over time.
And here's something worth remembering. None of these changes require you to be a stronger person. You're not failing because you lack discipline.
Right. Most of the time, people just haven't designed their environment to support the change they want.
So instead of blaming yourself for not having enough willpower, ask yourself, what can I change around me instead?
That question alone can save you so much frustration.
And honestly, this applies to more than just habits related to phones or food. It works for exercise, studying, saving money, pretty much anything.
True. If you want to work out more, maybe you sleep in your workout clothes. So getting ready in the morning takes almost no effort at all.
Or if you're trying to save money, maybe you remove your card details from shopping apps, so buying something requires a few extra steps. Those extra steps give you a moment to think, and sometimes that's all it takes to change your decision.
So let's quickly recap all 3 steps together, because this is honestly a really solid system. Step 1, identify the trigger. Notice what happens right before the habit starts.
Step 2, replace. Don't just remove. Give your brain a substitute for that craving instead of leaving empty space.
And step 3, design your environment. Make the bad habit difficult and make the good habit easy.
Trigger, substitute, environment. 3 simple steps. And honestly, that's really all it takes to start seeing real change.
It's not about being perfect either. It's about small, consistent adjustments that add up over time.
So we want to hear from you. What's one habit you're going to work on this week?
Tell us in the comments along with what your trigger might be. We'd genuinely love to see your answers.
Before we wrap up, we want to share a few common mistakes people make with this process so you can avoid them.
Good idea, because knowing the steps is one thing, but applying them the wrong way can be really frustrating.
First mistake, trying to change too many habits at once.
Oh, that's such a common one. People get motivated and suddenly want to fix 5 things at the same time.
And it usually backfires because your willpower and your attention get split between all of them, and nothing really sticks.
So our tip here is simple. Pick one habit, just one. Master that before you move on to the next.
Second mistake, expecting instant results.
Right. People try something for 2 or 3 days, don't see a huge change, and just give up.
But habits take time to build, and old habits take time to fade. It's not a straight line either. Some days will feel easier than others.
So don't judge the whole process based on one bad day. Progress isn't always obvious right away.
Third mistake, being too harsh on yourself when you slip up.
This one's huge. One mistake doesn't erase all your progress.
Exactly. If you slip back into the old habit once, that's not failure. That's just part of the process.
What matters is what you do right after. Do you go back to your plan, or do you let one slip turn into giving up completely?
So our tip, treat setbacks as information, not failure. Ask yourself what happened and adjust from there.
Now, one more thing you should know before starting. This process works best when you write things down.
Yeah, don't just think about your trigger and substitute in your head. Actually write them somewhere you can see.
A note on your phone, a sticky note, whatever works for you. Seeing it written down makes it feel real, and it's easier to stay consistent.
One last tip, too. Tell someone else about the habit you're working on. A friend, a family member, even us in the comments.
That's such a good point. When someone else knows what you're trying to do, you naturally feel more accountable.
Accountable means you feel responsible for something, and you're more likely to follow through because someone else is aware of it.
Exactly. It's a small thing, but it makes a real difference.
And finally, remember that small changes really do add up. You don't need a dramatic transformation overnight.
Exactly. The goal isn't perfection, it's just being a little better than you were yesterday.
So keep that in mind as you start applying these 3 steps this week.
Okay, so let's quickly bring it all together before we go.
We started by talking about why bad habits are so hard to break. Automatic behavior, dopamine, comfort, and how much our brain loves routines.
Then we went through the 3 steps. Step 1, identify your trigger. Notice what happens right before the habit starts.
Step 2, replace, don't just remove. Give your brain a substitute instead of leaving that empty space.
And step 3, design your environment. Make the bad habit difficult and make the good habit easy.
Trigger, substitute, environment. Simple but powerful when you actually apply it.
And honestly, if there's one thing we want you to take away from today, it's this. You don't need to be a different person to change a habit.
Right. You just need a little more awareness and a system that works with your brain instead of against it.
So this week, pick one habit, just one, find your trigger, choose your substitute, and adjust your environment.
Small steps, real progress.
And if you slip up along the way, remember what we said earlier, that's not failure. That's just part of the process.
Exactly. Be patient with yourself. Change takes time, but it's always worth it.
Okay, before we go, a few quick things. If you haven't already, come join our community. We've got the link right there in the description.
It's a great place to practice your English with other learners, ask questions, and honestly just stay motivated together.
And if this episode helped you today, do us a favor and share it with 3 friends who are also learning English.
Seriously, just 3 people. Send it in a chat, share it in a group, wherever. It genuinely helps us reach more people like you.
And it might be exactly what someone else needed to hear today, too. You never know who's out there struggling with the exact same habit.
We really appreciate you being here with us every single Wednesday.
It means a lot, truly. Thank you for spending this time with us and for working on your English while you're at it.
Every episode, every comment, every share, it all genuinely helps this little community grow.
So thank you for being part of that. Seriously.
Don't forget, Max and Mia are back Friday, Sunday, and Monday, as always.
And we'll see you right here, same time next Wednesday.
Take care of yourselves, and take care of your habits, too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.